Well, it was an unfortunate morning for Matildas fans who got up at 6 a.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Time to watch the Aussies take on England, a 3-0 loss in the end. My name is Poletti. Joining me is Burke, and these are 5 of the things we learnt from the Matildas' 3-0 loss to England. Number 1, Claire Hunt and Winonah Heatley prove they should be the Matildas' first choice centre back pairing, Burke.
Yeah, I think the two of them work really, really well together. But but I'm always and forever going to be open to Steph Catley being in there. I really am. I think Winnie Heatley also makes a great case for herself in the midfield, but we don't really know how Joe is gonna take it going forwards with his starting 11s. But yeah, this was a really good centre back pairing, despite the rest of the whole thing.
Yeah, look, I think against Wales, against England, they showed why they're going to be the first choice going forward. They're incredibly solid in defense, as you said. I I'm definitely happy with Steph Catley coming in as well, and maybe shifting someone out, maybe Hunt coming off the bench, because I think if you're going to do that, I think you're going to move Heatley to the right side. You're going to have Steph Catley at the left side of the two centre backs, perhaps with maybe like a Courtney Nevin on the left or a Jamila Rankin or something like that. So I'm definitely open to that idea, but I think the fact through 180 minutes of football this window, they both looked incredibly sharp, incredibly solid. Winonah Heatley's been an absolute find in this last 12 months.
Yeah, yeah, they're definitely definitely a bright spot during this game at least. Um, I think you're absolutely right in that going forward they will likely be the pairing.
Yep. Then the second thing that we learnt is that anything that happened after the first 19 minutes is completely irrelevant going forward. Look,
I love
this was
this
a
new
tough.
short format of football. Just a nice quick 20-minute game, nice and easy. I got to go back to sleep. I didn't. The rest of it
It's the
was all just
It's said as the T20 of cricket, 20-minute football. Look,
exactly.
I've tried so hard to be positive about this game as a whole. I really have. Like anyone who was
I
following
respect
me,
you.
you know,
I'm not being
posting
positive about it.
along on social media, like I was trying to find the positives out of this game. I genuinely was, because I know that I've definitely been accused of being negative for the sake of being negative in the past, and trying to be critical with my analysis. But there's nothing you can take away from a 10-player performance against one of the best sides in the world when we are now literally 2 games away from selecting an Asian Cup squad, or Montemurro's 2 games away from having to select an Asian Cup squad, and he's got 2 games against New Zealand to do it, who won't be at the Asian Cup by virtue of the fact they play in Oceania and are not one of the top ranked teams in the world. So look, it's incredibly tough because before the Alana Kennedy red card, and we're going to talk more about that in a few minutes' time, England were ripping Australia apart in in attack, right? England were getting through the back line at will. They were getting shots away. Now, admittedly, those shots weren't necessarily making Mackenzie Arnold work hard, off target, those sorts of things, right? But they were getting in behind at will and showing that maybe Australia's defense on the wings wasn't as good as it needs to be at points. They're going through the midfield as well. And that goes back to the first point we made. Claire Hunt and Winonah Heatley were doing really good at sort of shutting down those tight in angles to force those shots wide in order to try and get past them. Which leads us to point. Actually, before we move on, anything you want to say on that, Burke?
No.
No.
let's
Okay, that
let's
leads
keep
us
it
very.
positive
Yep.
ish.
Well, yeah.
Ish.
I mean, that leads us kind of into point number 3. Alana Kennedy should not be a starter going forward. I don't know why Montemurro felt the need to play her in midfield in this game when we saw how well Gorry and Claire Wheeler worked against Wales. I understand from some point trying like wanting to keep someone like Alana Kennedy in the squad, right? He's got such a short runway to the Asian Cup. Having someone who's been there, done that, can help some of the younger players coming through, the less experienced players, right? Like a Claire Hunt, like you know, like an Amy Sayer, like a Courtney Vine, like good squad positive vibes, right? And sometimes you need that in a tournament setting, particularly when there's games every 3 or 4 days, like an Asian Cup will be, like the World Cup is. I think being able to have that sort of a play around is absolutely invaluable, but that doesn't necessarily mean they have to start, right? And she's not one of the best centre backs we have anymore, and she's certainly not one of the best holding midfield options. And that at the number 6 role, the defensive midfielder, she's definitely not that. She got caught out trying to dribble the ball, not even through midfield, sort of like out of the defensive third, because of how tightly compacted the Matildas were. She got the ball taken away from her and gave away a red card for denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, which it was. I've seen some people question it, but that is absolutely textbook denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity, regardless of where those defenders were. If Alana Kennedy is not making that challenge, the England player is able to get the shot away. Whether it would have been scored or not is absolutely irrelevant, but I think you have to take that. I think, you just let that go. If you go down 1-0, you go down 1-0, you build back from 11, you put it down to a mistake, you move on. It was a very bad mistake from a very experienced player. And yeah, I still think she can provide value coming off the bench as sort of like that utility option, because there's going to be games, particularly in a tournament setting, where you can't, and we saw this at the World Cup under Tony Gustafsson, you cannot run your starting 11 out for 90 minutes every single game in a tournament setting without rotating the squad. So I think having someone like Kennedy will prove useful, but I don't think that's as a starter, Burke.
Yeah. I mean, to your point where you say you can't run out your starting 11 over and over again, you can, but you will suffer greatly. And we don't need to do that again. So let's not. I, yeah, the whole situation was it just bizarre, really. I don't know why she did that. I don't know why she did that. I don't know if she knows why she did that. This is a friendly. This is a friendly. It doesn't matter. Going down 1-0 to a goal like an Alessia Russo goal, I think it would have been, it doesn't mean anything. And then we would have gotten to play for I don't know how much longer with 11 players. Someone else could have got sent off. Who knows? Not me. We'll never know. Um, but yeah, absolutely denial of an obvious goal scoring opportunity. She knew because she'd already started leaving because the
Yeah,
referee couldn't even get the card out of her pocket. She was like, you know what? I'm done. I'll see myself out, guys. And she did. And I will
I don't.
say, very funny. Very funny. Um, but yeah, not her finest moment for Australia, I will say. But you can't deny how valuable she's been to the team. That like at no point am I saying, or either of us saying that she's a terrible player and we never should have. She's been an absolute rock for us at points.
Yeah,
But this, yeah, unfortunately, it's not it's not a positive sign for her future at all. Um, Unfortunately, especially considering what we've just said about Heatley and Hunt being the defensive starting options most likely, and when you've got players like Claire Wheeler that can play a holding mid very, very effectively, it's yeah, it's not a good sign. We still
no,
love her. She's
yes,
still great.
absolutely.
Like she's
Like,
had some incredible times with the Matildas, but yeah, this is unfortunately how it looks to be shaking out.
yeah, she's not really playing for London City since her move back to the WSL. She's 31 years, or she's almost 31 years old. Like, it's not. time stops for no one, particularly in football, particularly in high level football. And the Matildas want to be a top team in the world. The Matildas, on their day, can play like a top team in the world. And we saw that at the 2023 World Cup. When push comes to shove, on their day, they can absolutely play with the best teams in the world. And sometimes that means making the tough choices. And I think Alana Kennedy has to be one of those choices. If not before the Asian Cup, certainly after the Asian Cup. And I certainly don't think she's the only player in that boat.
No, not at all. But that's the point of these kinds of exercises, really, is that you test out everyone and anyone you can to see who's going to be the best available option. And whether
Which
or
I
not
guess,
that's Kennedy, we'll find out.
yeah. Which I guess kind of leads me to another point I make before we moved on to our next, next learning from the game was Montemurro was definitely treating these two games like tournament games, which is fine. But you've got players here on the fringes who are trying to impress for an Asian Cup spot, the likes of a Remy Simpson, the likes of a Courtney Vine, who got garbage time, essentially. They got second half stoppage time. They didn't really get a chance to show what they were doing, which I think leads me nicely into my fourth point of Joe Montemurro does not know what his best lineup looks like. And I understand how little time he's had with the squad. He's had 6 games. 4 of those came in the one window in Perth with a squad that was not anywhere near a full strength lineup, right? There was no Kerr, there was no Gorry. Like the absences were plenty. Players came in for 1 game, 2 games, couple played 3, but like it was not the same. Like it's sort of like the learning is like, okay, this is the lay of the land. These are all the players I have available. Let's try to make them work in different combinations that we have them in. But he didn't really get a chance to sort of do that well, right? And he's then got these 2 games here against Wales and England and sort of tried different combinations. There were 5 changes from the game against Wales coming into this one. So you had Mackenzie Arnold, Steph Catley, Ellie Carpenter, Alana Kennedy, and Amy Sayer coming in with Tegan Micah, Courtney Nevin, Caitlin Torpey, Claire Wheeler, and Hayley Razzo all dropping to the bench. And I understand you need to try to find different combinations to see what works. And as you said, that's the purpose of these sorts of games. And it's a real shame that we can't really take anything from it because of the way the game played out. But you look at it in the broader context, there's, as I've already mentioned, there's 2 games left and they're against New Zealand before the squad has to be selected. He's had an 8-game runway, and I think through no fault of his own by the fact that Football Australia took so long to appoint him when they could have appointed him before the Olympics, before he signed with Lyon. Why do I get the feeling that this is not going to go well regardless of what happens against New Zealand? Like I just getting this general sense that they have not given Joe enough time to work out what his best squad is.
That would be because they haven't. And because it is going to go badly. Most likely. Knock on wood that I'm lying and wrong. Yeah, obviously, like we've said, hasn't worked out his best starting 11, mostly because he's had the equivalent of 3 minutes of working with them, which is not helpful. Yeah, it's not helpful. But I guess, it is what it is at this point. Like, we can complain all we want about the failures of the FA in taking so much time, but it's not going to get us anywhere. This is what we've got. We've got 2 games, and then we've got a squad to be selected. So hopefully we can see a lot of young players really making a case for themselves now that the A-League's about to start up. And hopefully everyone that's international that's looking to, continue to be a part of the squad continues to have really good seasons wherever they are in whichever side they're in, because that's really all we've got left is people impressing in their leagues. and 2 games against New Zealand.
Yeah, look, I think overall there's a lot. Like I said, I know I said we really shouldn't be taking a lot from this game beyond the 20th minute because it was 10v11, but like I still felt there are a couple of things throughout that maybe we can take from this, right? So after they concede the goal from the set piece from the Kennedy red card, and I think this goes back to the point we were making earlier of Hunt and Heatley being the first choice centre back pairing, is immediately in the post goal huddle there was and admittedly we got like 5 seconds of it on the broadcast, if that. But the player who was leading the huddle and barking instructions was Claire Hunt, and that shows tenacity at the back. That shows who, like, it wasn't Sam Kerr, it wasn't Steph Catley, it was Claire Hunt, who's compared to some of the other players in this squad has been there for all of 5 minutes. I think that's a positive sign to take from it, that the team as a whole, different players are stepping up to sort of like try to get things back on track. The 28th minute, there was one of the rare attacking opportunities the Matildas had. They've got 3 shots away in this game. One of them was on target, and it was the shot that led to the corner in the 28th minute, and they were caught offside from what was a training routine kick. Those are mistakes that will kill you in tournaments. You need to get those sorts of things out of your systems. But like there were also some good opportunities in the first half and in the second half that were just shut down because England had that extra play. They were able to shut down the spaces quickly. But the fact that the Matildas were still trying to press forward is probably a good thing, Burke.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can't really just pack it in a friendly. In a tournament, absolutely. Park that bus. Like, park the bus 5 minutes before the red card even happens. But in a friendly, you really, like, you don't have anything to lose. You may as well continue trying to push forward. Obviously, in a tournament, given the situation that you're in, you should probably actually still try and push forward. Different situation, though. In a friendly, you really don't have anything to lose. You do need to keep pushing forward. And yeah, it was very obvious that we were suffering from that lack of player, because there really was no opportunities in the box, because the person that was getting away on the run was Sam Kerr or Caitlin Ford, just streaking out by themselves, and there was no support, and there were too many English people around. So, yeah, at least we were showing signs of life. That's always a good sign.
Yeah, I mean the stats tell you that, right? 27% possession. It was a total of 20 final third entries. For context, England had 102 across the 90 minutes. 13 touches in the opposition box compared to 48 for England, and 1 corner for expected goals of 0.12 compared to 2.7 XG for England. And I'm not a huge fan of the XG stat, but
I don't believe in it, but it's not real to me.
That's 2.58 XG difference in a 3-0 game. That is, I think that kind of tells where the Matildas were at overall in this game, as they got run off the park by a far better team. I think this shows just how much respect the Matildas actually command from the opponents they play. Is despite having a 2-0 lead and a player advantage, England came out in that second half and they put the foot down. They wanted to try to get more goals. And credit to the Matildas, is they really were able to shut up shop. And, at least for that first 15 minutes, right, is England came out, they had the foot down, they wanted to increase the lead, they wanted to make a statement. And then Serena Weigman, 62nd minute, makes 4 substitutions, and really was just kind of like, okay, we've made our point, we've done what we can, let's just manage out the rest of the game so that, nothing bad happens. And then Michelle Arjaman, who was one of the substitutions who came on, unfortunately left the game Um, I don't I I don't want to say it's that dreaded three-letter word, but
No, let's
yeah.
not
So
say
so so
it.
yeah. So
Let's.
let's wait and see what that is. But it certainly did not look good. Um, but yeah, like so. I think even though the Matildas were down to 10, I think the fact that their reputation precedes them is probably only a good thing, Burke, as well.
Oh, absolutely. I just want to say, sending very good vibes out to Michelle Ajimang because she's had a killer couple of months, and I would very much hate to see that derailed by injury in a useless friendly. Um, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know how much more I can say about this game. It is good. It's great actually that we're so highly respected on the international stage. Um, but yeah, I fear if we keep behaving this way, that may not last.
Yeah, it's it's a tough couple of months ahead for Montemurro to try to get things back on track. And sadly, he won't, as we've touched on, doesn't have a lot of time to do that, which leads into the fifth thing we learned from this game, which was that despite only a handful of opportunities, Sam Kerr looked a heck of a lot better than she did against Wales now that she's got some minutes in her legs as she makes her return to full fitness, Burke.
Yeah, uh, she just, what a player, honestly. What a player. She had probably, she had this crazy, crazy move. Was it the point that was, I don't think it was called offside, was it? Um, where she just was right in on the keeper, had like four defenders surrounding her, still managed to slip the ball through the defenders. It's collected by Hampton in the end. But like when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, she, she's back.
Yep.
We've got her on like she's on a low simmer right now. We're saving her to turn up the heat. All right, that's all this is. Don't get stressed. She's still there. She's still there.
Yep. So coming into this window, she had roughly 120 minutes across 6 games. No starts for Chelsea. 5 league, 1 Champions League game. She's already equaled those minutes in 2 games for the Matildas. She got through 70 minutes today. And post game, she talked about it. You know, she's trying to get 90-minute fit. When she was asked on the broadcast post game, but that she was very quick to say as well. It's not about her. It's not about what she's going through. It's about the team as a whole. And the way they handled that game. There was no finger pointing. There's no blame towards anyone from the squad. It was just get on with the job. And she showed also said that she was quite disappointed to show that they didn't get a chance to work on or to show what they had worked on in training because they went down to 10. Said it was very hard to judge the game as a whole, which I think echoes everything we've just said for the last 20 minutes. It's so hard to judge in the greater context of the post match analysis. But I mean, look, Sam Kerr came into this game with the captain's armband back on. Hayley Raso did it last game. It was a 100th game despite Sam Kerr starting. And look, I'm glad. I hope we can finally put this discussion to bed. Steph Catley's pre-game comments that she's the vice captain, Sam Kerr is always the captain, and she's ready to hand the armband back over as soon as Kerr came back. But I also think the fact that we see different players captain, particularly in friendlies at different points, shows just how unnecessary this whole discussion has been, Burke.
Yeah, I think we're possibly the only national team on earth that like the media cares so much about the captain. With a lot of other teams, it's like naturally obvious who the captain's going to be. But with others, it's not. But they also don't care. Obviously, there are reasons that we're still, or that the media was trying to still drag this out. I think we don't need to have this discussion anymore. Let Sam wear the armband. whether or not Sam is wearing the armband, other people will step up to lead as well.
Yep.
Like you were saying with Claire Hunt taking control of that team huddle post goal. Whoever's necessary to lead in the moment will do so. And Sam does, but when the moment calls for it, the other players that are leaders in the team will step up too. The armband is pretty much symbolic in a sense. And I think we all just need to get over it. I think we all just need to let it go. Who cares? The real captains are the friends we made along the way. I don't know, man. Like, just let it
Yeah.
go. Let it
Like,
go.
yeah, I mean, look, outside of like a tournament setting,
Who cares?
there's
Who
really
cares?
no need. Like,
No,
I understand why the captain is there, and like there are certain laws of the game in place that are trying to be implemented in place. Like only the captain can speak to the referee to prevent, everyone going off. Although I've yet to see that really be enforced.
Yet to see it work either.
So like there is some necessity to having a captain per se, but it's not as important as a lot of people seem to make it out to be. And I'm not going to get into a broader comment about the Australian landscape because
God no,
that's a different podcast on its own. A couple of
and
other
also,
things
we don't care.
Sorry, a couple of other things I wanted to touch on before we sign off. That penalty in the 96th minute, I had no idea there was VAR in this game until that happened.
Game's gone. Absolutely utter woke nonsense. Sorry. Gone.
Yep. Look, what I want to say on it is I absolutely love the intensity from Gorry there to make that challenge, to still be going for it in a game that has been gone since the 20th minute. Still had that ability to make defensive challenges, to give 110%. But it was such an unnecessary challenge because the ball was going out. There was no way that the England player was going to get to the ball. There was just such an unnecessary challenge at that point in the game. But as I said, contrasting that, the fact that it's still making those challenges, that still having that effort 96 minutes into a 2-0 game when you've been down to 10 players for the last 75 minutes, it shows a lot of that fighting spirit that Australia is renowned for.
Yeah, Katrina Gorry, she's just kind of built a bit different, I guess. That I nearly lost my mind when I saw the referee heading to the VAR check. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's the 90 plus 6th minute, and you're doing a VAR check in a friendly where England are already up 2-0 and a player up. Can we not just let this one go? Have we not suffered enough? No, apparently not.
Yeah.
My head is so hot. Oh my God.
Yeah, I don't really know
Why?
what else to say about it at this point, because I don't know why it needed to happen. Like on one hand, I was going to be at the Asian Cup, it's going to be in a tournament setting, so
But that's a tournament, not a useless friendly.
I know.
If I was Mackenzie Arnold, I would have just sat down on the line. What? I would have left. would have just walked off. And Caitlin Ford getting a useless yellow card in the 90 plus 7th minute or whatever it was. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Yeah.
She's not taking the shortest route off the pitch. It's a friendly.
Yeah.
It's a friendly. I understand there are rules. I do. I really do. But sometimes I think the rules are stupid. And this is one of those times. This is 2 of those times. Sorry, I just remembered that yellow card for Ford happened much earlier. My brain's addled.
It was the 90 plus second minute when she was being substituted off. Yes.
My bad.
So you were off by a few minutes, but
listen, I've been awake since we've been awake since 6
Yes,
a.m.
we've both been awake since 6
and just
a.m.
watched absolute nonsense for 2 hours. Forgive us.
Yes, it's been a long 12 hours, particularly given other events that happened in football yesterday with Perth Glory announcing that they sacked their men's coach 2 games into the season. You can head over to the Roundball Australia YouTube channel to check out our instant reaction to that one at some point this morning.
Drama.
But it's been a long 12 hours. There's a lot of lack of sleep going on here. Do you have anything else you want to say about this game, Burke?
I want to quote Ellie Carpenter in a post-game interview. Obviously, we want to forget that one.
Yes, that is our final lesson from this game. We're giving you a bonus one. This game happened. Let's move on. Let's look forward to New Zealand in November. But that will do for this Matildas game review here on the Dubcast, part of the Roundball Australia podcast network. If you enjoyed that, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. And also, the A-League Women is back this week. We are very much at the pointy end of our season previews. We've got through 9 of them already. We've got the final 2 dropping on Thursday to give you plenty of time to catch them all before the season kicks off on Friday night. If you want to have a look at those previews, the playlist will be on your screen now for you to click on. But Burke, that's us done for today after Matilda's 3-0 loss to England.
Yeah. And thank God that's it.
Yeah, and we'll be back next week, as always, after our season previews. Once the dub starts back up for our usual weekly podcast throughout the season, dropping every Wednesday morning. We hope to have your company throughout the season.